Hey everyone, welcome to Be Authentic or Get the Fuck Out. I'm your host, Eric Oberemt. This is the podcast where the only requirement to be a guest is that you are being authentic to who you are. If you're not, I'll shut it down and I'll ask you to leave. Remember, be authentic or get the fuck out. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Be Authentic or Get the Fuck Out. I'm your host, Eric Oberemt. We are down here in sunny Cozumel on our company retreat, and I was able to con my friend Paul Reed into coming down to the retreat with us. Paul, thanks for being here, man.
Absolutely, man. I love it being here, hanging out with you guys and seeing the culture that you guys have at didnt. It's been a pretty amazing week.
Yeah, this has been fun.
It's been awesome.
It's been a good time. We've had some good trainings with Sam Taggart, some good personal one-on-one stuff, and then later this afternoon we're going to do a little bit of training on commercial, working with property managers and things like that, and I think the group's real excited about that. But
no, it's been awesome just to see, you know, what you've built at didnt and how it just really, even from listening to your podcast, you know, that you just released about your grandpa, from that to being able to bring the company down here to you know, really a retreat and do a lot of training and a lot of fun activities with the whole team has been pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, it's been cool. One of the things that I wanted to get into on this, kind of selfishly, and again, it's my podcast, so I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Yes.
But selfishly, I wanted to take a little bit of extra time today and talk about Roofers in Recovery and National Roofers in Recovery Day. So we rolled this out. We've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah.
And we decided to roll it out at SRC Summit a couple of weeks ago. And so for those of you watching, we have designated June 3rd as National Roofers in Recovery Day because, as you said,
Waffles have their own national day, so we figured, why can't Roofers in Recovery?
Right, so we declared it.
Yes.
We just, I think we put our hands in the air and we said, I declare that June 3rd is National Roofers in Recovery Day. So what we're doing, for those of you watching, is we want to get 150 contractors signed up. And what we're asking is that everybody agrees to build a roof on June 3rd, and the profits go to Roofers in Recovery that day. So you pay your suppliers, you pay your labor guys. Now, if you want to donate the entire roof,
we'll take that.
We'll take that. We want that. That was our original idea, but we thought, hey, you know what? It's going to be a lot easier to get people to commit if they know they're not really coming out of pocket. They're just donating the profit. So like minimum $10,000 roof, that's about $3,500 in a donation. And if we get 150 people signed up, we'll be able to almost hit our goal for the year, because our goal is we want to send 50 people to treatment this year and have a really big end of the year gala for everybody. And to do that, though, we need to raise anywhere between $750,000 and $1 million by the end of the year. Having this event can get us almost all the way there.
It absolutely will. I think one of the neat things is you should be able to use this, you know, to go out, get in your community and show them how you give back to the community as well.
Yeah.
You know, your company, you know, you're out in the middle of Kentucky, you know, just talking to the community about, hey, this is what we believe in, we give back, and we support Roofers in Recovery. I think it'd be a great marketing deal, because I know that we're working on a lot of things internally of getting, you know, news media. We're trying to get national news media, your local news media out there to really put a bright light on, you know, hey, we're standing up, you know, addiction and alcoholism is running rampant through the country, and here's what we're doing on our end to try to fight it and, you know, help people. And it's like we like to say, of really put families back together, because that's why we do this. It's really about the families. It's putting the families back together, putting companies back together, getting people their life back.
Right. I mean, we've talked about that a lot, where we run into that kind of tough stigma sometimes when we're talking about Roofers in Recovery, because people think about it as just helping that one person that has an addiction issue, and they can't really relate to it because they're like, well, I don't have an addiction issue. I don't, like, what do I care? You know, like, that the guy should just get better.
Yeah.
Right? And I think when we talk about the effect that it has on a family, I think that everyone can relate to that. I think everyone knows somebody that it's affected people around them.
Yep. One of the neater things that I've seen over this last 2 years since we've been doing Roofers in Recovery, I won't say their names, but there's a guy in roofing that most people know, and he's had some problems over the last few years of alcoholism, and he's been sober now for, I believe, coming up on 6 or 7 months on there. He went through our program, went to rehab, but I looked back through his and his wife's Facebook pages. And I actually interviewed him 2 weeks ago at SRC during our podcast there. They were on there. So if you want to know who it is, you could snoop back and go look.
Right.
But I was telling them one of the biggest blessings that I've seen out of Roofers in Recovery is watching the progression of his wife.
Yeah.
Right? So like, he looks better, he's healthier, he's happy. But what I really noticed was looking back, and you could go back a year into her pictures, and you could see it all over her face.
Yeah.
And now,
like happiness.
Now, well, back then was like sad and like worried, and she probably just thought, this was just life.
Yeah.
But it was wearing on her. And if you look at her pictures now, the family, it's amazing to see what she looks like now.
Right.
You can see just that she's proud, she's happy, she's relieved, she's not worrying about what her husband's doing. I'm sure she's able to be a better wife, a better mom because of, she's not stressed out because what the hell is her husband doing tonight?
Right. Yeah. People don't think about that side of it. I really don't think that they do, and I think that that's why we need to be intentional about bringing it to light and talking about it more, because I don't think that people understand the impact that one addict has on how many people.
Right.
And if we get an opportunity to help those people, and we can't help them without the people that are watching this, to sign up for National Roofers in Recovery Day, come to our, golf tournament, that we're going to have later in the year, come to, Hail Trace helps us out and does, C3 helps us out with the golf tournament, and we've got a lot of really good supporters. But I can tell you right now, we're not going to stop until we hit that goal, and we're going to be banging doors, for the big shots out there as well.
I mean, we keep saying it, but it truly does affect everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone that's watching this, I promise you there's someone in your family, one of your close friends, someone that works for you, maybe even you, that are dealing with some type of alcoholism or addiction issue. And it's one of those things that most people are like, ooh, I'll just kind of avoid that.
Yeah.
But it's time to step up. I know over this last week there's been 2 guys in the roofing industry that I know of that have OD'd within this last week.
Right.
One of them had reached out to us over a year ago, and we did everything we could to try to help him and support him and talk to him, and he just really wasn't having it, but he just OD'd this 3 days ago.
Right.
And it's all over. It's affecting everybody.
Yeah. I think the other thing that's really exciting that we're doing with Roofers in Recovery that I want to let people know about is the documentary. And so we are filming a full-length professional documentary where we're obviously documenting the people that are in Roofers in Recovery that have went through it and want to do interviews and talk about it, but we're going to highlight somebody that goes through the program and goes through a rehab facility at Valley Hope where we send all of our clients, and you'll get to watch their progression from when they started to while they're in there and then after they get out, and get to see that transformation happen in real time.
Yep.
And I think that's I'm more excited about that than anything right now, and that getting done.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I think everybody's watched Intervention.
Yeah.
Everybody's watched that show on TV, Intervention, and we're really spotlighting people in this industry, and they get a brief story of our recovery. We were able to go out and talk to a counselor that was there 14 years ago when I went through rehab, and you're in the process of talking to a counselor that was there for you 12 years ago, and to really hear their perspective of what you were like then compared to what you're like now is pretty powerful. So looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a really big deal, and a lot of people that don't understand our mission, I think this will really tie it in and show them what we are doing. Because the fact is we're busy. We're running companies. We have a lot of stuff going on, And this is something that we're both, probably our biggest passion, both of us, is the Roofers in Recovery. I wish I could just do Roofers in Recovery full time.
It just doesn't pay the bills.
It doesn't pay the bills. No, it barely, as of right now, barely pays for people to go to rehab.
Right,
so we need your help.
Regardless of how much, I mean, and we've raised a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like, we have amazing support and amazing sponsors already. So, like, I don't want to gloss over that. You know, we've raised almost, I think, $250,000 over the last couple of years, which is, you know, that's awesome.
Really good.
But it doesn't get us to where we want to be, and it doesn't get us to the amount of people that we want to help. And so we have to go all in.
I tell you, the worst feeling in the world is when a guy calls and you need to help him and he's trying to get into rehab, and like, we don't have any money in the account because we've already sent, you know, these other 10, 15, 20 people through it. It just really adds up. I mean, so right now it's, you know, all the money is going towards the rehab center. And we have a great partner with Valley Hope. You know, and they gave us a phenomenal deal to get people in for 30 days, but it's still, even at the rate we're paying, it's still very expensive.
And phenomenal support. I've been, I shouldn't say that I've been shocked, but I've been very impressed with the level of support that they have given us and how much they want to be part of what we're doing. You know, I mean, the CEO has had multiple lunches and phone calls with us, and he didn't have to do that. You know, I mean, it was really, it's cool to watch when people really find out what we're doing and who we are, how they flock. And I still get surprised when we, you know, we've talked about this 100 times, when we go to a conference or we go to some kind of, you know, event, and we meet people that don't know who we are and what we're doing. That we don't know who roofers are, and we just assume that everybody knows. And I think that was why I wanted to spend some time in this podcast to hopefully get it out a little bit more, to be like, this is what we're doing. Please come help. You know, we need your support to be able to do that.
No, the message definitely needs to get out. And I think another message to me that really needs to get out is, you know, at our core, like, what we're trying to do is, you know, put families back together, help this individual to live a better life like that we've been able to experience. But I think one huge misconception is most people think or assume that we're like anti-drinking, you know, or anti-anythings, and we're the, you know, the weird guys that are, you know, preaching against don't drink, don't use drugs. And that's not what we're doing. If you could drink and use drugs and function, go ahead.
I'm jealous.
I can't. You know, there's a few of us people that we just can't. We lost our privilege. And it's important for everyone to know we're not against that. If you have a few beers with your friends, or, you know, or go out with your wife and do all these things, that's great. We still want to hang out with you. You could still support us. You could still hang out with us. Like, that's not us. We don't care. Good for you.
But there's a certain group that can't. There's a certain group that can't, and when they do, they ruin everything that's in their life. And that's what we're trying to help. We're not here to judge. We're not here to take your inventory, as we say. Like, we're not here to talk about, you know, what you're doing wrong. Like, we don't care.
Well, matter of fact, we do all the time. We'll go to dinners or functions with people all the time that are, you know, drinking a beer, doing a shot, doing whatever. Hell, some of the guys here are drinking. You know, we sit there and eat tacos. Have fun with them while they're drinking. We don't care.
Lots of tacos. I've never met anybody that likes tacos as much as you.
I do have a taco problem.
You fucking love tacos.
I do. It's funny because you love sushi. And so when we came down, I told Eric, like, you know how you like sushi? Well, I like tacos.
And you were not joking.
No.
And I felt like I had to keep up.
That's the addict. That's the addict in you to keep
but
up.
I felt like I had to keep up.
Because you did. You did keep up.
I was a little sick.
It's kind of embarrassing when you go to a restaurant in Mexico and you order 12 tacos. And the waiter goes, no, it's 12. Yeah, I know. It's 12. Just don't slut shame me.
And we don't know how to say 12, so we're like,
just 12.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's too much. I'm like, no, it's not. I'll probably order 6 more.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about that I thought would be interesting for the audience to hear was, as we were filming some stuff at in Dallas for the documentary, you had your daughter come down and get interviewed, but you left.
Yeah.
You couldn't sit there.
Yeah.
How'd that feel?
Well, I about just started crying just now. You know, when you're in the midst of your addiction or your alcoholism, literally nothing else matters in the world besides trying to get high or to drink. And I think the average person cannot fathom, like, what do you mean? Like, just stop using. You have a beautiful wife, you have beautiful kids. And at some point, I lost that ability to, you know, have my kids be the number one most important thing to me. And I always said that, like, someone's like, well, what's the most important thing? Well, my kids. But the reality was, there for a few years, the most important thing to me was getting high. And that's hard to admit. It's embarrassing, because you're like, what type of piece of shit are you that, like, you would literally give your kids up to go get high?
Right.
And I don't understand how it works or how it happened, but, like, that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
And so, you know, once I got sober, was able to, you know, really sit down with my kids and they got it, right? And they forgave me, and we have an awesome relationship. Yeah. And it's been 14 years, and I've done a ton of work on it, but it's still, like, when I think about it, or you brought it up, like, my throat started going. I'm like, this asshole's going to make me cry on his podcast. But it just, to this day, it tears me up, because I put myself in their shoes, and I'm just like, oh my God, how could you do that? Right. And, you know,
because tell the story. I love this story, but tell the story that we talked to the counselor about when you tried to get out.
When I tried to get out.
When you tried to get out of rehab because you had to go see your kids.
Oh, all right. Yeah, assholes really trying to get me to. So when I don't love this story.
I love this story.
So when I went into rehab, so I have 3 kids, right? Kim and I have 6 kids, but the other 3 kids come obviously later. But that time I had 3 kids, and 2 of the kids' birthdays were in August, and I went into rehab right then. And after 2 days, is like my daughter's birthday was coming up, or my son's, I don't remember which ones. And I was telling the counselor, like, well, I got to go. And he's like, why? And I said, well, it's my kid's birthday. And what kind of shitty father, you know, would I be if I don't go to my kid's birthday? And I need to go back, and, like, I've learned my lesson. I need to go be a good dad. And he basically looked at me, and he was like, you've been a shitty father for how many years? And now all of a sudden, because you're 2 days sober, you're going to go be a good dad. Right. And that, he might as well just ripped my heart out of me. Right. I instantly, like, broke down and, like, ugly cried. Right. Times 3. Ugly cried times 3. Yeah. Where you can't breathe. that type of cry. And it was powerful. Yeah. You know, and it was so true. It was very true. I hadn't been a good father. I hadn't been present for my kids. And, you know, that's something that I have to live with for literally the rest of my life. Yeah. I get it when you spoke about your grandpa and you took 5 years off of his life. That's something that I got, because I'm like, I get it. You know, if that's true or not, who knows? Yeah. But, like, I get it.
It's true to me.
I get it. I just look back and go, like, man, I lost how many years with my kids because I chose meth. Yeah. And that's
the only thing that I avoided, was that I didn't have kids during the height of my addiction. Like, I didn't have kids when I was young, and I definitely thank God for that all the time, just because I'm very, very fortunate. Like, I've got a lot of awful stories, and I hurt a lot of people, but I didn't do that. Yeah. And I almost it almost makes me at times feel like I don't feel like I had a high bottom.
Right.
Like we talk about, right? Like I don't feel like I had a high bottom. Like I was fucked up. I was in jail. I was looking at 2 years in prison. I was a mess. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like I had a high bottom. But then when I hear stories like that, it's like, fuck, you kind of had a high bottom. You know what I mean? Like it kind of makes you feel like that.
You know, and it's devastating because I look at it and I remember being in the middle of my addiction, knowing people that like abandoned their kids, and I was like, man, that person's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And I was doing the same thing.
Right.
You know, I'd pop in, they would see me, you know,
right,
a couple times a week, and I had literally, you know, throw them some food and tell them to go to bed,
right,
type stuff, no interaction. And, you know, it's something I'll live with the rest of my life. And, you know, today my mission is to help anybody like recover from that. Like that's why I think that's why it's so passionate to me, is because a lot of these guys and gals that we're helping, they have kids. And it's heartbreaking to see. I think I got lucky because how many kids would have forgave me? You know, my kids have. Right. They joke about it. They make fun of me. Yeah. They send me memes.
Right.
You know, about the father.
An asshole.
Yeah. Jake's the real bad one.
Oh, Jake's the real asshole?
Yeah, Jake's the real asshole. Darian's bad too, but they'll send me memes so, you know, that when the father goes to the store for milk and never comes back. They're pretty funny, but yeah.
So maybe our troll will send us some of those after this podcast, since he watches.
Yes, he does.
He obviously watches and listens.
Anthony Warepate.
Anthony Warepate, not real name, but we love you, Anthony Warepate. Yes. we love you.
We love your memes.
That leads me into kind of what I wanted to wrap up with a little bit, is that I think it's been very interesting to watch. You know, obviously I've watched, you know, your stories. We've gotten to know each other over the years and whatever, and vice versa. And it really seems like both of our paths have led us where we wanted to build these companies, we wanted to make money, we wanted to, you know, do all the things that we wanted to do. But then as we started to, you know, get a little older and, you know, maybe have a couple dollars, whatever, it really switched for me, and I think it did for you too, in that it seems like everything that we do now that we're passionate about has to do with helping. Right? So whether it's teaching at the Commercial Roofing Academy, and yes, like you have to charge for that and whatever, but there's a passion behind teaching, and there's a passion behind helping others. And I mean, I don't know anybody in the industry that takes people into their company like you do, if they call and ask for help, and just show them what the fuck's under the hood, right? And like, because of that, I've done it now, right? Because I saw that and I'm like, that's pretty cool. And then for whatever reason, I had a couple of individuals ask me to do the same thing. And, you know, 10 years ago, I'd have been like, fuck you, I'm not telling you how I do shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's my secret. That's why I'm good.
I invented this shit.
Yeah, exactly. But it's been really neat to watch. And I mean, 100% honest, like, that shit rubbed off on me. And that's why I do that today. I mean, not to fucking suck your dick, but like, I appreciate that because I get to do that now.
No, I get that, and I think part of why I like to like teach, if you want to call that, is because
it's weird to say that though, isn't it?
It is, because like, who the hell are you to teach anybody?
A couple of fucking drunks.
It's weird. But I think it's so important to be able to give back, and there's also a selfish reason why I do it. And this is it. It makes me better. How many times have you been talking to somebody, like teaching somebody or coaching somebody, or that's even weirder to say coaching somebody. I'm a coach.
I hate saying teach though, because I always had a problem with teachers. I always had a problem with teachers, and I was like, you didn't live in the fucking real world. You read a book and you're trying to regurgitate it to me, asshole.
Well, the coaching's worse. Like I'm an athlete. I'm teaching you to do this stuff. Anyway, coaching, teaching, mentoring these people. But I'll catch myself teaching, and I'll be like, that's a really good idea. I need to do more of that. Like in the company, because they'll tell you their problems, and you're like, here's what you need to do. And then you look at it and you go, holy shit, I need to do that even more, or I need to do that.
That happened here with me as we were talking stuff out. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm trying to help coach and teach my team, and you were as well, and you were helping, and all of a sudden I was like, wait, we do that, but we don't do it very well. We need to refine it and do it even better, and it's just a conversation.
So that's a part of it. Like, in a selfish way, I get a lot out. I get just as much out of it on there, but I do have. It's really weird to think about this, but I have a true passion to like give back in whatever we're doing. And it's not, you know, I think at one point, to be honest, I mean, we're being authentic here. I think at one point I loved it because it was like, oh, you know, you're getting famous in the roofing industry, and so like do more of it, and like you're going to talk at bigger conferences, blah, blah, blah. But now, like, I could give a shit less, like, to talk anywhere or do anything. It's like, it's all these different guys that you see that, you know, maybe they're doing $1 million a year. Now all of a sudden, because you helped them tweak one thing, like they get to do $2 million. And then more importantly, I teach over the last 2 years, especially about the importance of like kind of the family dynamic. And it ties back into the Roofers in Recovery, where we talk about families. And I'm teaching these guys like, hey, maybe let's not try to go do 30, 40, $50 million a year. Maybe let's just be the best $3 million a year company we could be. And now you have all this time with your kids. And that's been super rewarding to see a lot of these guys get that.
Because I think most of the training out there has to be so flashy that it has to be, how do you get to 30? Right? How do you get 100 reps? Well, how do you do that?
The reality is shit, 9 out of 10 of these guys will never do that.
No.
Legitimately, 9 out of 10 of these guys will never get to 30 million or 100 reps.
No.
And they don't need to.
And what's the why behind it?
To have the biggest dick in the room.
Correct.
That's it.
That's it. Because they're not making any more money.
Not making any more money. No. You just you get a extra trip with Beacon to wherever. Right. Yeah. It's nothing.
No.
And once you get that, you don't give a shit anymore at that point.
No.
So now I think, you know, to go against the grain, because everybody's like, let's scale and let's win the storm and let's do all this shit. Let's just actually be the best person that we can be and the best company that we can run. And that's going to be different for everybody. That might be $2 million a year company.
And it might be 20.
And you're happy as shit. You're making $250,000. You got all this time. It might be 20 million. I don't know. But everybody's a little bit different. I think that's what, you know, the way that we do it is we teach that, and we kind of customize to that group of people.
So before we close out, I want to make sure that we reiterate Roofers in Recovery, National Roofers in Recovery Day on June 3rd. I would obviously be remiss, since we were talking about teaching and coaching, not to at least remind everybody that we do have the Commercial Roofing Academy that has a quick start every 2 months, 3 months?
Every 2 months.
Every 2 months we have a quick start, and then a year-long online training platform and constant webinars. And
we will coach and teach you.
And we will coach and teach you. But I want to mention that every time that we're on here as well. And then I know we got about 2 minutes left, but the way that I like to close all my interviews now is I like to give it to the guest and say, you got 2 minutes. What's one of the things that you either want to reiterate or bring up that maybe I forgot to bring up?
Wow, you put me on the spot on there. I have a question for you on here. So your podcast on here. So to throw this back on you. I love the concept of like the be authentic or get the fuck out on there, because I think it's real. Because we spoke about this on the first podcast of like, most people get on a podcast, they're like, look at me, look how cool I am. But to actually get real and be authentic on there. But what is your biggest reason that you want to do this podcast? I've never asked you that. Like, what is the reasoning behind? I get the concept, and I think it's perfectly laid out, because that's who you are. The podcast, the name of the podcast, especially the name of the podcast, is Eric. But what is the actual why behind this?
So the why has changed.
Okay.
When I first started it, it was because I thought it was missing in the industry, in our lives, and whatever, right? I thought it was missing because I was on a podcast and somebody told me that people don't act authentic on camera or whatever, and that was my first why. When I reframed my speech at D2DCon, and it was about, and I reframed it to the year before it was leading with authenticity, but I didn't really know what that meant. But what I figured out over time was that when you get to be who you are and you're not trying to be the person that you're following, you create a culture in your life and in your business and in everything else that you do of people that want to be around you, and then you attract the same thing.
Got it.
I've been very fortunate that I attract people that are very similar to me, have the same mindset, whatever that is, and I've been able to get opportunities to spend more time with those people, like you, like Phil, like Pate, like Reggie, like, you know what I mean? Like all those people, we have the same mindset and we're attracted to each other. Jim Johnson, like he said it at CRA that day, you know, when he was joking around, he's like, I'm attracted to you, you know, like, and that was funny, but it was true. And so my why has changed to, like, when people watch this, I want them to have the freedom that I have, that I feel like I'm free because I get to be myself. And if our troll is like making fun of what we're doing or what we're talking about, I literally give zero fucks. Like, and I genuinely give zero fucks that that's happening because I'm free and I want people to be able to have that same opportunity.
So here's what I would like to throw a challenge out there. Anthony Pate Ware, or Air Pate Ware, whatever your name is, I would love for you to come on this podcast. Ooh. You could blackface out or whatever, put a hood on, whatever.
Jesus, that was two racist comments, like right in a row.
Yes.
Holy shit.
What is the proper term? You wear a hood?
Yeah, well.
Not a white one. No, I don't know. I went for 3.
Okay, yeah.
But, cut, Lexi. No, I'm kidding. Come on the podcast.
Yeah.
Be interviewed.
That'd be great.
Be authentic.
Right.
Anthony Pate Ware.
You can't black out, though. You got to actually come on the podcast.
Well, I was just thinking he wouldn't come on, but then maybe he'd get brave and take it off and be authentic halfway through.
I'm in on it, yeah. Anthony Pate Ware, you're invited to be authentic or get the fuck out. But you have to be authentic or you have to get the fuck out.
There you go.
Yeah, so anyway, all right. I know we got to wrap up here, Paul. Thank you so much for A, being on the podcast, and B, just being here in general, being part of our group here, and being friends. So
awesome.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
We're going to end the podcast today, just like we end every podcast with, remember, be authentic or get the fuck out.
Every loss may lead to another win. I'm going up.